Okay, we have arrived on Maria-Hilfer-Straße in the 6th district of Vienna, or rather, this is the 6th district, this is the 7th district. And so I still, after my bike tour, went a little bit for lunch, and I kind of forgot, and then I was like, oh, why I should actually go on a night trip. It's now half an hour after midnight to go to this beautiful, not a building, not quite a building yet. So this is this I don't know, construction. I actually already forgot what it was going to be. It was going to be something, but now it's going to be something else. This has been under construction since many years now, because it was under the ownership of Benko. So Ed Sheeran, the new album. Did you know that Ed Sheeran, all his albums are like, named after like arithmetic symbols and stuff, like plus, minus, and stuff like this. So you see, this extends. Previously, when I was a kid, like, before long, this was like a furniture big store kind of thing, and then they completely removed it. And when they showed what it's supposed to going to be, it looked kind of nice, but then it is now this ruin, because you had this Benko, which is, by the way, a very funny name, because in Austria also Benko is like a brand for like chocolate powder that you put in your milk. It's for children. I found out this Starbucks, at which I sadly far too often sit. It's nice because they have these big windows. I often sit here. They have this view. It's not few pictures that I took of this building over the years. This non-building. And so, I always like to make this point. Austria is, of course, not Germany. We had wars against the Prussians even long ago. It's a little bit awkward running around with the camera, of course, if people look at me, but thankfully it's a little bit late, so it's not too busy. So the Austrians, sadly, I think we're, almost as rich as South Germany, but there's certainly more corruption going on in politics. There's a lot of scandals every few years. The Germans are not perfect, but I think there it's it has more consequences if these kind of things happen. But there was this huge scandal with Benko, who was, I guess, in his early 40s, something like that. This rich guy, and then not only was there like financial scandals, blah blah blah, but it was also very tied into politics. I'm considering, where should I go? I will actually, if you want to see a little bit of the city, I should hold still, right? There's a lot of, like, this street is very nice. It's a nice street to pick up girls as well. Like, it's very like, the nicer middle class. Like, it's not the worst area in Vienna. If you look at the map of Vienna, the districts are like structured in like a snail. You have the first district, the old city, in the center, and then you have around the one-digit districts and the two-digit districts. This is fairly close to the center. Center would be in this direction. I will actually walk down. I guess I will walk down to the museum area. So let's make this 10 minutes or so. And you get a little bit of a vibe. Eventually you will come to Vienna, and I'll lead you into some nice coffee shops. We can make pictures of books together. I'll show you a little bit whatever I'll be learning at the time. And I want you to do the same. Here, if you go to the left, there's some secret clubs, or at least they were there. I have not been there, to be honest, like in 10 years. But there's like a few clubs in this area where you basically have no door on the outside. You have to know that it's there. And then occasionally you see people go in and other people looking confused. That's kind of funny. I think I can show you basically nothing because this is all shielded off. Yeah. I lived in the 6th district when I was a kid. Now I live further in the 9th district in this direction. But that's at least 25 minutes away in walking, so or like 15 minutes away in walking, so I cannot take you there. At this time, very cute. What else? Yeah, here there's down there. There's the Café Sperl. This is like an old coffee shop where, fun fact, Gödel wrote his most famous stuff as a young student-ish kind of person. And then across from this old, Café Sperl is like a fairly, as you can imagine, very old coffee shop. Across from it, there's the Café Phil, which is basically a bookstore. And sometimes clubbish, like there's also like a turntable and stuff like that. Where I go more often. I don't go as much because on the weekend especially, I think, they don't even allow you pull out your laptop there. So on days where I'm dedicated, the last glimpse at this non-building, well, nothing much to see. I wanted to show you the cheese advertisement, but this also works. Here is this is like a chain. It's called. Can you read this? Not sure if you can read this. It's called Max and Benito. It's in reference to the good Austria, Mexican, South American relations. That during the times when, like, I don't know exactly the story, but there was this guy, Max and Benito, and they were like in some relation, it's like Habsburg stuff. It's like 200-year-old past. I mean, I could say like a lot of things about all these places and all these names, but I'll leave it at that. Here is actually the so-called Rahlgasse, but I will take you to the stairs. This is actually where I went to school, like till 17 or something. I enjoy how empty this is. This is the Museumsquartier, the museum quarter where we'll enter. This is the I think it's the historical museum, and it has like a twin. Like maybe we'll see it later. This is like a huge old museum, and then across of it, a little bit further across, there's like a twin which is mirrored, and you can basically see it from afar already. Actually, I should go there actually. And here's this nice stairs, die Rahlstiege. This is my school, old school. I can also say more about politics, right? So, as you see, like there's some cars there, but it's basically like what's called Begegnungszone, like combined area, where it's really for people, but cars are still allowed to drive. And this was altered, like previously this was a street, and this was altered to be like this combined and more like pedestrian area, which is something that happens a lot in Vienna, and it is definitely controversial among car lovers, but I would say this is one of the bestest things about the development of the city. The city actually gets prettier over the years. Like now it's prettier than 10 years ago, and 10 years ago it was prettier than before that. There's always the joke between the Viennese and non-Viennese people about Viennese people being terrible. I will not go there now, but at least the city is very pretty and is getting cleaner, probably. Fair to say. This is the museum's quarter, and generally after like 11 or so, it's always like this. There's like some bars, but there's nothing is going on here because it's closed, and there's not. I mean, actually, I'm surprised that maybe not more younger people just chill out here in these areas. But yeah, no. We will enter the more, like, these are structures. You can see this is like a square here. I mean, literally a square, like it's squared. And there's the structures where you go through these passages, and then there's the next bigger one, and like there's a lot of museums. Like these things are, I don't know. I'm not so often in these houses, but there's some museums. Like for example, this is what was coming up here. It's like a huge museum. Chile. The guy talking to himself in English. Chile is the student of Klimt, from which you might know the Kiss. It's fairly famous Viennese painters. Kids Info. So this is this very large area. I think there's some people. There's probably a homeless person sleeping on the bench here. I don't want to be too rude here, but and some younger people that I cannot see yet behind the grasses. No, whatever. And here there's like a nice bar over up there. Yeah, I think there's like 3 people in this whole area right now. Leopold Museum. I think I have some video on YouTube where I walk through this area from like the COVID times. This installation is here up already like I think 2 years or so. Of course, there's a lot. You can imagine there's a lot of things happening here, especially in the summers concerts or in the winters. There's this called Ensos. There's this like hard plastic sitting things, and they are like also super famous. They already exist like 25 years. Sometimes they were renewed, but basically they are like an iconic part of this museum area. There's another, like you cannot see it because it's so dark, but there's another like huge block, and there's like exhibitions happening. I will exit and walk through. How far should I actually take here? Well, we're already 23 minutes in, but if you made it this far to the video, reply to the video in your Twitter with you tell me what is your favorite non-smooth function. Any function which is not smooth on all of its domain, you name it. And I know, okay, I didn't record this for nothing. Yeah, you can basically not see much, but there's like statues in the middle there. That's I didn't pick the right time. We were over there, like over there is the stairs down, right? And this is the main entrance, so to speak, about Museumsquartier. Although I think most people enter where we entered. Okay, it's red, but I will record my own crimes. And here, there's sometimes there are like raves there and student stuff, and sometimes there's like political things happening here. You cannot see anything, can you? Like here in the middle, there's like a big statue with like horses. You might see a little bit of those. So this is the History Museum, which I should go more often, and I think I will soonish. I like exhibitions, especially if like they are guided tour where you actually learn something. It's like the twin of these museums, and there is like the natural history museum. And they have like like dinosaurs and you know 3-meter wide crabs and stuff like this. And it's closed for some reason. Interesting. Not sure for how long. And maybe you can probably not see anything. There's like it's quite big, and there are nice horses, and of course like the students would climb up there. This is maybe they want to protect the greenery and the flowers and stuff. I will actually. You cannot really see anything. Maybe I should sort of rush through this for this dark area. Okay, so what I will do is I will just go to the middle of another big square, where of course a lot of things could be said and a lot of things could be shown, but I have to leave it at that. I think I'm already. It's going to get 20 minutes. So. It's just as dark, isn't it? I'm not sure if I should tinker with the color saturation and gradient in post. I think you can usually do this in this video editing tools, and I think even on YouTube itself, but I might not want to risk it. Keep the video natural from the start. Have you seen Before Sunrise with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy? It's like a romantic movie where they're meeting up in Vienna, and there's a part where they take the tram, go along here. I like it, if you like watch an old movie, like from like 25-30 years ago, and then you can visit the same area in real life, see how it evolved or changed. The reality is the things that we like the Marienstraße, the big street at the start, didn't really change at all, but it changed a lot. But these things that we are seeing now really didn't change at all. And so here, there's really nothing. So I will commit another crime. And here's clearly a little bit more people going on. There is like a club there. Like this is a Volksgarten, like garden of the people. And then there's like a club over there. You might have heard the beat, which is also called Volksgarten. And so, yeah. Here is, by the way, oh, you cannot see it. It's a nice like, how you call it? The main like city council building. I always forget the name. There is some Latin. I forgot what it means. I hope still maybe you can decipher. Okay, this video turned out a little bit more boring than I thought, but okay. Burgtor, like this is the castle building. This is actually, I think, the biggest castle, like castle complex in the world. Yeah, I think so. Like if you count all the things, like all these Habsburger things as being one building, then it's like the biggest castle or something like that. Here is the National Library, which I basically never visit. Oh damn! Did you see they just turned off even more lights? Forget it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all the dark footage. Okay, so this is the center. Like when I was a kid, like sometimes I was skateboarding there because, as you can see, there's a lot of plain areas, plain surfaces. Okay, let's do two more like states exhibitions of things to end on a lighter note, pun intended. And of course, I have to go home anyway. I have to go in this direction for another half hour. I stopped literally, like Vienna is actually super famous for its very nice public transport. It's also like fairly cheap, basically for like. Now the numbers changed a little bit with inflation, but it was like that you could be 356, 65 euros go anywhere with any public transportation in Vienna. But it's a little bit more expensive now. And there was also like the climate ticket, where for 1,000 euro you had a ticket where you can take any public transport anywhere in Austria, meaning you could on a Friday afternoon just go to a random train, didn't even have to think about it, and just take 2 pairs of underwear and go into the Alps. And maybe you need friends there, or you have a hotel booked, but then you could like take the weekend and get back. I did that. I explored some places in Austria that I hadn't seen before, like some more remote things. There's of course Salzburg and some other boring cities, and of course you can also then take the free ticket to Salzburg and pay like, I don't know, 15 euros or so to Munich, because it's basically next to Salzburg. Okay, I love advertising Vienna. Here you have a bunch of kitsch. We are in the first district, by the way, now. I explained. 6th district, where we crossed over, where I first violated the law the first time. There was the crossover point from the 6th district to the 1st. That has looked nicer before. Now it's like a bunch of cars there and random things. I don't even know what is this temporary construction behind it. Doesn't kind of violates the city. Here's like the famous Spanish horse thingy very close, like where they have this. They're famous for their horses, and people visit this actually 10 minutes before 1. I don't know what's up with that. No, actually, oh damn, my clock is wrong. My clock says 10 minutes before 1, and this is 1. I will believe the old clock. This is because this is not an automatic clock, nor has it a battery, so I have to like spin it myself every day. It looks fancy. I like to faggot maxing, stand out a little bit, but that comes at a cost. I'm not willing to hold this still enough to make this make sense. But it looks pretty. It looks pretty in reality. You will see once you come over. We drink a coffee and you can see all these old people IRL. That's a good scene actually. Make this a frame. Yeah, that's a cool frame. BMW taxi. Some people in suits. And I love it, if I like walking around in Vienna after like 11, I do this, I don't know, 3 times a week, I think. Here is a big square. This is also a little bit renovated. It was a little bit different back then, I think. Yeah, after this, like firstly these trees are sort of new-ish. There's more Starbucks. This Starbucks always reminds me of my ex, that's where I met her. Here is the old Vienna. We are very close to the center, where the city started. Did you know that Marc Aurel supposedly died in Vienna? I think this is like this photo from here with these buildings also at least known. Here's like one of this church, in the cities. You also see this even more so in Italy. We have some churches, and clearly this was like a standalone church like a billion years ago, but now it's like built into the surroundings. It's, you know, I think even in the Berliner Tor, like the famous door, the famous like columns in Berlin, you know, the big entrance, you know what I mean? I think this was also basically sort of standalone, and they built like all the squares like artificially around it, in the sense that these buildings were not there, and now it looks completely different. Let's take a look back where we came from. Often, when you see like, oh, you know, pretty Vienna photos, what they use is they stand over there at the end of where we are going and turn the camera in the other direction, and they make a photo of this. Like during Christmas, you have these lamps hanging here, and this is like the super standard like advertisement shot. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, clearly this is like, you know, the sort of touristy thing that you have in every city. Strangely for me, it's more like familiar, and it doesn't come across like that, even though this exists like in, you know, for some reason I think of these Italian cities, like even in Verona or something, like these smaller cities. You have the Colosseum, or the, you know, the small Colosseum variants, which are actually not so small. I think like these alternative Colosseums are not even much smaller than the actual Rome Colosseum, the Aqua thing. But you have this like old things, and everything looks not so so rich, and then suddenly there's like a street out of nowhere where all of the shops are like, you know, some strange European name brands that you never would imagine like buying anything Bulgari. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm at half an hour. This is also annoying because these things take forever to upload to YouTube. Okay, so if you made it thus far, that's a weird gang. If you made it thus far, name your favorite Banach space. Here, Austrian First Sparkasse, Austrian First, basically bank-ish, but I think there's no bank here. It's just this shop, Wagner. I bought a Rolex there. Louis Vuitton. So this doesn't look as great now, but in the winter they have like here and everywhere like this big golden light bally things, and then usually at light you would see like the building that we walked through, right? And it looks like very like pretty and stuff, and they take this as advertisement. Here, what you have here is, well, now that we're already like 3 minutes away from the actual city center of Vienna, I will extend the video even more. Here you have the so-called pestilence column. We will get to it, which is like a memorial, well, as you imagine, of the pestilence days. There's like a billion things I could tell you now, but you know, I only pretend to be a good tour guide. You can probably not see anything because I'm like shaking the camera all the time, but you get it. You get the vibe, right? You get the empty Vienna vibe, and the girls behind me are talking German. It sticks out like a thorn. I could, of course, now go into like language differences and so, very fascinating, but we'll leave it at that as well. More Starbucks. Although this one is not so nice. Well, I will not extend in my coffee shop elaborations. Firstly, there's no really nice coffee shops literally in the city center where you can just sit in and sit for 4 hours and have Wi-Fi and stuff. Not really in the first district. There's a lot of them in the 8th, 6th, 7th district, but not here. So here, nonetheless, there still exists Starbucks, but the problem with this one that we just saw is there's basically no light, right? It's in in this alley. Sometimes I sit outside if like I happen to cross by and want to sit down, read a book, or have Wi-Fi. But the actual like Starbucks is downstairs, and then you're like basically in some sort of basement. There's good light, of course, but it's like, yeah, the vibe is not as sympathetic. So here we are approaching the city center. This is one of the symbols of, I don't want to say skyline, but this is like one of the biggest churches. I mean, it might be the biggest church should be the biggest church in Vienna, I guess. The Stephansdom, St. Stephen's Cathedral, I suppose. There's like, also here and where we're back there at the National Library, right? There's always like this, you can always do this comparison with like pictures taken during Nazi times, which is quite impressive, right? Where they have like flags everywhere and everything is like very fascistic, I guess. Usually, like all these buildings, they're the same. Just decoration changes, which makes it a little bit eerie. Okay. I will probably be mistaken for a tourist, although I never usually run around here with a camera. Dancers. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Okay, so one last fun fact. I mean, this is like a cliche, but I think it's a cliche. Here on the floor, you see, let's have the tiny dancers in the frame. Here on the floor, you will see the outlines of some churches, which, under us, beneath us, there's like a subway line. Can you see it from here? No, but here's like a subway entry. And when in the 70s, like this was all, as I told you, they turned like car areas to non-car areas. And when this was made into the pedestrian area with the subway underground, there was like a huge hole here, as you imagine, if you build a subway. And then they discovered these churches from, I don't know how they're like 800 years old or even older. And there's like a little bit of a museum, but they had to do something about it. Don't think everything was kept, but you can walk down and see some museum from this. But they still like sort of painted where the church was, and there was like the white one is the super old one, and then a few hundred years later they built another church around this, and this is actually this one. So I think this was the black one was actually known, and the white one was only discovered later. I think these guys, they really want to be picked up on camera, so I will give them the